Blog Talk Radio.
This is the girl George and the Dragons radio show. Today, we are going to talk to a guy named Bob Hill. He's a friend of an old friend of mine, which a lot of you know from the old coffee gallery, Kell Robertson. Now, when I first walked into the coffee gallery in 1967, there was Kell. Now, of all the people in the place, Kell is the one you would have remembered. He's the one that kind of stuck out. And he's been dead for about, 4 years now, but never forgotten. So we're going to talk about it behind his back. So here we have an old friend of his, Bob Hill. Hi, Bob.
How you doing? I really appreciate you getting a hold of me and doing this. So,
where are you at?
I'm in Ohio, Canton, Ohio.
Ohio.
So, yeah, covered in snow.
Are you around Cleveland or Toledo?
Yeah. Well, Canton's probably about 40 minutes south of Cleveland, something like that.
Well, my old partner Star was from Ohio originally. She says she's from Arizona, but she moved there when she was a teenager. She's really from Ohio. And my other old friend, Chrissy Hine of the Pretenders, she's from Ohio.
Well, there's this band. It's called 156075 that just celebrated their 45th anniversary, and they play in Kent. You've heard of Kent, Ohio, right? You know,
Yeah. Kent
State University.
That's where
right.
they killed those people at the college.
Yeah, exactly. Well, 156075 is like a progressive blues rock band that's been playing in Kent for 45 years, and actually Terry Hines, Chrissy's older brother, plays saxophone in the band. And,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're called the Numbers Band too, just because it's kind of a thing people started calling them because they couldn't remember 156075. So,
what's that? The area code or zip code or something?
No. You know what? It had something to do with like a bet that you would bet on like the numbers. 156075 was like a common bet, just a number game that you would play, the illegal lottery, That's kind of how it started. So, but yeah, Terry Hines and the band's really great. If you YouTube them, I mean, they've done things their own way. They haven't got like the real recognition they deserve because they're all really talented. But they're really, it's a great band. I used to see them all the time.
Well, I met Chrissy in London back in about 74. I went to London, and I found this shop that sold these punk outfits. It was owned by that Michael McClure or whatever, the guy that produced the Sex Pistols. He had a shop called Let It Rock, or it was called Sex, and they had all these punk outfits, which I'd never seen punk before. This is 1974. These little short skirts with studs on them and ripped and zippers and all this shit. So I went in there and I bought this outfit, and the sales girl was Chrissy Hine. And that was before she was famous. Nobody ever heard of her. And she was all interested in me because I wore a sword in those days. So she says, well, if you need a place to stay while you're here, you can stay at my place. So when my friend went back to the United States, I called her up and I stayed at her place for a couple weeks. So anyway, that's how I met her. And then she got famous.
Yeah, right. Well, she worked hard. So
yeah, she's good. She's very good. She's
good. It's a little bit of both. You got to get lucky and you got to work hard. So people, the big band right now that's out of Akron is Black Keys. Them guys worked really hard and they're selling out stadiums now. But just a few years ago, they were driving around in a van, living off $6 a day and playing wherever they could go. So
you're a musician too?
Yeah, I'm in a band called Blonde Boy Grunt and the Groans. So, and I've been in that band it's been almost 20 years. We have a steady gig that we play once a month in Canal Fulton, Ohio. And we play Akron, Cleveland, around. We're kind of, we all have day jobs, so But we play original music and we play what we want. So it's
How did you
fun.
meet Kell Robertson?
Okay, well, my bandmate Mike Good, a.k.a. Blonde Boy Grunt, actually went to a Jason Eklund show. With Jason Eklund is another guy that just, he's a musician. He's in Texas right now, but he's like traveled the country and played, and singer songwriter, folky dude, and so he met him at a show, and then started hanging out a little bit, and just crossing paths. When before the internet, you actually cross paths. So
yeah, I know. If you musicians all travel around, so I'd see some of them in Nashville, I'd see same ones in New York or in London or San Francisco or L.A. You go there they are again, because musicians all a bunch of gypsies, bunch of
exactly. And Jason lived in like Colorado at the time, so he had crossed paths with Kell, and then he just brought Kell to Ohio, and that's how I originally met him. And Mike, my bandmate, he traveled a lot with Kell. He went across the country a couple times with him, and but Kell actually came to Ohio twice. He didn't like being east of the Mississippi, I don't think, but and he didn't travel. He didn't travel well. Kell could be a handful. So, but as far as
he lived in New Mexico, right? New Mexico.
Yeah, he lived in Santa Fe, and he was living with some friends of his who had their three brothers originally, bought this land and built houses on it, and they found Kell. Kell was basically homeless, and they were really into the art scene and the poetry and music and theater and the whole, just the art stuff, and they found Kell and actually read some of his work and befriended him, and they built a little shed for him to live in, which it's really nice where they have this I don't know what you call it, just this land and a little compound of brothers and their houses and stuff, and so Kell lived there with them, and Kell wrote all the time. I mean, it's just incredible, and Mike and his daughter Penny were going to try to archive a lot of this stuff. I know that I think the University of New Mexico got a lot of stuff, and just. Have you been to New Mexico?
No. I knew him in San Francisco, North Beach.
Okay, well, there's a whole community.
When you walked to the coffee gallery, there he was. And after all these years, that was 67, I met him. He's one of the few I remember. And the very first song I ever wrote, he's mentioned it, because I wrote a song about the coffee gallery, and I mentioned him in that one. Hey, I talked to him right before he passed, within a year or so before he passed. He wrote me a letter. Well, the old owner of the coffee gallery, he's dead now too but at the time he found me in Berkeley. I was running an open mic at the Starry Plow in Berkeley. I was co-host there, and he walked in one night, the old owner of the coffee gallery, and he says, "Oh, did you know Cal's still around?" And I said, "Oh, really? How did you get a hold of him?" And so he gave him my address, and Cal wrote me a letter, and then I called him, and we talked for a while. So that was kind of cool. I made contact with him before he passed on to greater things.
Yeah. Well, he's a hell of a poet. I mean, I've always been into music and poetry and reading and all that. And some some of it is just crap. When you read Kell's stuff, he really is a page turner. In fact, I got a book I would love to send to you. I don't know if you have The Horse Called Desperation. Is his?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Don't send it to that address I gave you. 'Cause you have to send to another. I'll send it to you. I'll send you the
Yeah, if
address.
you send me an address, I'll send you a couple of his discs too, and a couple of our discs. You know, we have disc out, and but yeah, that's how things happen. You just cross paths with people, and now with the Facebook, I mean, that's how we hooked up. You know?
I love Facebook because I've ran into all the old people I've known over the last 50 years. They're in New York, or they're in Ohio, or they're all over. And with this radio show, they can be anywhere because you just call in. And nowadays, there ain't long distance anymore. So anybody can call, and you can talk for a half hour. We can put it up on YouTube and get it all down there. So we have everybody's stories. Now, Cal, I knew as a musician because that's what I do. So of course that's what he did. So that's the way I related to him. And he's the one that told me about the Hotel Utah, which is another club in San Francisco.
Right.
I never heard of it before.
I played there before. They have an open mic
Hotel
night.
Utah.
Yeah, when I was in San Francisco.
I ended up playing there years later, but he was the one that told me about the Utah. He used to play there too.
Right. Yeah, they have an open mic night there.
I love open mics because that way you can just walk in and play. You don't have to do all that
It's just
motion and.
Well, the guy that I'm playing with, Mike, that's how I met him. I met him at an open mic night.
Yeah.
You know, and he
you meet all kinds of people there.
He started talking to me, and the next thing you know, we've been in a band for 20 years. So, and you know, it's
Cal used to do a magazine too called Desperado.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly. He did that for a while. In fact, yeah, like if you really want to know about Cal, you should try to friend Mike. Probably already did, and Jason Eklund, especially them two. You know, they know more about Kel than I've met him a few times and was out there a couple of times. Of course, the one time I was there was for his
wake. What, is that
the
people where he lived? Is that the people where he lived?
Well, no, Mike is the guy I play with. Blonde Boy Grunt is his alias, but and then Jason Eklund, he's in Texas right now, but he's a singer songwriter. He's you just Google anybody now, you can find their stuff. So,
why don't you tell them to friend me?
Yeah, I have to get a hold of Jason. I think Mike is friends with you. So in fact,
tell
he's
him
probably
to talk to me, and we'll put him on the show.
Yeah, because Mike actually traveled with Kel back and forth across the country a couple of times. But Kel, like I say, he always had his bag and his paper and his pens. And you said he wrote you a letter. He loved writing letters. That's just he was just old school that way. He talked to people, wrote things down, and as much as Kel drank and smoked and stuff, he was always really sharp. Yeah, but Kel would fall asleep with a beer in his hand, so he'd have one when he woke up,
I knew a lot of people like that. Now, I never
drank. But he
drank.
was sharp. He was really
sharp. I knew
sharp.
a lot of people back then that were just, because they didn't pay you in the clubs, they just gave you beer. You know?
Right.
That was how you got paid. You got beer, so they drank up their share.
So, yeah, that's... But he was really sharp, man. I mean, the last time I talked to him and was with him out in New Mexico, it's just like you could throw anything at him, and he would know the singer. He'd know the person that had to hit with it. He'd know who wrote it. He was really sharp. He was very well read, and just words were his thing. He just, in fact, I have a poem. It's called A Conversation with Kell Robertson, which is basically just a conversation I had with him when he was talking about just words, man. You got to know all the words. You got to learn them all. They're just it's all that we got are to communicate. And but and he was like that. And like I say, his poetry is just nuts. And his songs. I mean, you have seen some of his songs and heard his music. Kell was kind of his own worst enemy too when it came to, getting to the next step and maybe making some money doing what he did.
Well, there's some people that don't like to sell out, as they called it back in the days, which means go by somebody else's rules and be put on somebody else's box and then tell you what to do. See, and that's what always happens. Whenever I signed with a producer, they wanted to tell you what to do. You don't do what you do what they tell you to do, and I can't do that. And neither could he. It's an artist thing where, you have to do what you do and fuck the money. It's not about the money, it's about the art.
Right. Well, that band I was telling you about, the Chrissy Hines brothers, and that's why they never really, I mean, they had brushes with greatness, but Bob Kidney he writes songs and plays them the way he wants them, and plays his, it's not really sellable, especially 40 years ago. I mean, bands were kind of dependent on radios and producers and promoters and all the the shit you had to do to make money in the record business. Now you just get a guitar, or not even a guitar, you just get on YouTube and who knows. you could go viral, just. Yeah,
that's great. I like that. They finally got rid of those fucking business people that owned everybody.
Exactly, right. You go completely over the top.
They've made themselves obsolete.
So,
because they never gave anybody money anyway. Even the ones they signed, even the ones that sold millions of records, never got a fucking penny. They screwed
I know.
everybody.
So many people got ripped off. It's ridiculous. So, but you know what?
I know people that sold millions of records and never made a penny and still ended up on the street paying for nickels.
Yeah, but the idiots that made the money, they couldn't have a creative thought in their head if you had gunpoint. So, I always thought if somebody would steal one of my songs or make money off one of my songs, I'd just write another one. Screw them,
Well, I've had people steal verses. This song that I do all the time, Everybody's Crazy But Me, somebody stole the whole last verse, not the chorus, but the verse. Where sell your soul for what you think you need. Some call it survival, some call it greed. What's a pound of flesh worth today? Well, they stole that whole thing and put it in a song. And my daughter heard it on the radio, and she says, I heard the song on the radio. I hated it. I couldn't realize what it was, and I listened to it, and she hates my songs, or she used to. And she said, they got your whole song in there. So they steal my songs all the time. Fuck them. Let them have them. I can write more.
Exactly. Right. I mean, most of it, as far as I'm concerned, anyhow, is just the creative, thing about it. I mean, that's why we're doing it. That's music. Is who can explain it? It's just something. I don't know.
It's a disease. It's a disease.
Yeah. Actually, I heard some people talking at a bar one time that talking about just art and music and stuff. It's almost like a handicap.
Yep.
So, but
it means you're going to be poor forever.
Yeah, well, that's part of it too.
Deal with it.
Yeah, but you never know. Like I said, you got to work and you got to get lucky too. That's the big part of it. The people that. Well,
Cal made it he made it to 81, which is pretty good for an alcoholic.
Yeah, plus chain smoker and just he never really took care of himself too much. So
he smoked clear to the end.
Yeah, but like I said, when you would talk, if you probably talked to him about some old times, and he was just like he remembered just like everything.
Well, he remembered me, and he hadn't seen me in like 40 years.
Right. He was just he was sharp, man. He had like plus he just if you really listen to his songs and read his poetry, he had a weird way of looking at things and really getting to the dirty truths of some things too. But that's what made him great, really.
There was other people that I've known that ended up knowing him, because I've seen pictures of this poet in L.A., S.A. Griffin. He's like the head of the whole poetry scene in L.A., and I've seen pictures of him with Kell Robertson. Like, he looked him up because he's a fan of his, and he filmed him and all kinds of stuff because he's a fan of Kell Robertson.
Right.
And then Carla, which used to work with Dr. Hook's producer, she knew him. When I put stuff up about Cal, she said, "Oh, I know him. He's my favorite poet. He's my favorite songwriter." So there's people that I've known from all over that knew him from different places and idolized him. Thought he was great. So he got it out there. I mean, people picked up on what he was doing. It wasn't like he was playing to nobody. And his stuff is up on the web, so that was good. He made it long enough for it to get up on the web, because I've seen his poetry on the web. And then his songs are up on YouTube. So, he made it long enough to make it into history, so people won't forget him.
Oh, no. And he's got a lot more stuff, and it's kind of, I think the University of Arizona will probably do something with it. And there's people in Santa Fe, there's just a whole little niche, and it's more than just Santa Fe. It's just like, because the thing at his wake memorial thing, people were coming from Texas and Colorado, and just like you say, there's people that remember Kell and know about him and know his music and his poetry, and he really rubbed elbows with the great beat poets, in the San Francisco days, because I think he was there quite a while before you met him. He was
there probably from the 50s, because he's like 14 years older than me.
Right,
I got there when I was 21. I'd been working in bars since I was 16, but I didn't hit Noise Beach until I was 21. And I worked in the topless clubs. And then I'd go up to Upper Grant Street between shows and started playing at the Coffee Gallery. But I used to run the amateur topless contest on Broadway, which was a rig show. We're supposed to be out of the audience, but we all worked there. And then we had an 8-piece band, and there was 500 people in the club, big club. So I was famous as a topless dancer when I met him.
Well, that's Kell's favorite.
You like those topless dances.
Yeah, he just liked women too. Kell had a way of talking he talked to any woman, anytime, anywhere, man. He was a charmer. So, and he could, he was a silver-tongued devil for sure.
Well, he was cute too. That helped. He was cute and he was smart and he was talented. Boy, that's.
Well, I just recently have got some pictures of Kell when he was really younger. Yeah, he was a good-looking guy.
He was gorgeous.
Yeah, so, but he was a little rough around the edges whenever I was around him. So.
Well, he was 80.
Yeah, well, I guess I actually met him. I probably met Kell the first time about 10 or 12 years ago, or 15. God, time flies, as you know. It just...
well, that would have made him 70.
Yeah. Well, there's some...
And I still look good in pictures, but that's pictures.
There's some discrepancies about how old he actually was. It was somewhere between 78 and 81, I think. So. Well,
I heard that he was born in 1930.
Yeah. That's, it's close, but it's too late to argue about it now. So I'm just gonna throw it in his face and lie about his age. Yeah. So, but yeah, he I mean.
Why would he lie about his age? He's the type that would lie about his age.
No, I don't think so.
Why would he care?
No, I don't think he would. So, but that book, Horse Called Desperation, which is a really good poetry book that he put out, that Ferenghetti, the guy, the City Lights guy.
Yeah.
Put a quote in it, So he was with them guys. I think he was actually from some of the stuff that I've read of different poets that were hanging around there. Kell blew him out of the water. So in some of the stuff
that's when Kerouac and Ginsberg and Bobby Kaufman and all of them were hanging around the Coffee area. That's about when I got there. Was right at the tail end of that. Bobby Kaufman was still there. They still had a poetry night.
The hippies ruined that whole scene, man. He said we were in the drinking.
Well, I was there before the hippies. The hippies didn't really get there till about 1967, and I got there like a year before that.
Yeah, he wouldn't have no part of that. He didn't understand them. He said they were into drinking red wine and amphetamines, and the hippies came in and they were into all this free love and experiment and stuff, and they
acid. But they all had grass in common.
Yeah.
Grass and beer they all had in common. They all were grass and beer. And acid.
But yeah.
Okay. It was great talking to you. We're running out of time now.
Oh, there's just one more thing I wanted to tell you. You're still doing the open mic thing, and you're the Dragons, right?
Well, I play an open mic in Berkeley called the Missouri Lounge. I don't run it. I just play there every week. The Missouri Lounge in Berkeley. So if you ever get down here, it's every Wednesday. It's an open mic. I don't run it, but I play there every week, and it's great. So you come on down. So
and send me an address. I want to send you some stuff.
I'll send you your address.
And
the Girl George and the Dragons Radio Show. Saying, see you later, alligator.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.